classes. Warlord, Bone Stitcher, Manipulator, Ranger, Bombardier, and Chloromancer. Well, guys, girls, what I'm going to say is Bone Stitcher. I'll start in the Woodland Commons. That, right off the bat, probably needs to be a little bit bigger of a button. We don't need to see butt cheeks. Yeah, you were confused that you could only play female. I was looking all over for it. Normally, it's a bigger icon. The laugh in the background is creepy as shit. I love it. To use your primary attack, hit the left mouse button. To do a secondary hotbar, use your right mouse button. Switch between different secondary attack methods by pressing Q and E.
So, you think you can come against me?
That's interesting stuff. So one feature I'm seeing immediately that's missing is like Alt or Control to get your icon so that you can cursor over things. Also, abilities, let's see. Inventory. I can live with that. It would be better if it didn't switch your... But that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You can live with that. See, I'm looking that way. Let me see if it does it this way. Yeah, you see, I'm looking that way, and when I open up my inventory, I now look at my character, which is it's a good thing I look at my character, but now it changes what I'm looking at, so I can live with that. Settings. Oh, thank you. Sweet Jesus. I don't know if I wanted to hit that button. All right, now I need to fix the game capture. Turn off motion blur. I probably will. Sorry. I'm just trying to make this, I'm trying to make this look as pretty as I can. There we go. Oh, that's you? Cool. Yeah, I was gonna die to a snake. So turn off motion blur, you say. Motion blur off. You know what I'm gonna do? No, I'm gonna, whoa. I'm gonna leave that as high. I am gonna cap this at 144 frames per second though. No, because I'm streaming. I'll set that to 60 since I'm streaming. Normally I would cap it to 144 and borderless. Oh, auto apply is on. I love that. Can I just say thank you to a game developer that puts a fucking auto apply and auto save? Thank you, developer. Because I'm going to say thank you. Because it irritates me in so many games that don't have either an auto save or an auto apply in their settings. And you go in there 6 times and thank you. Again, look at what the small developers are doing, big guys. Well, actually don't, because then you'll steal it and say you invented it. There, now it's dead. No step on snack. Yeah, don't step on the snack. Okay. Quest. Bring back a baby Vikewing. Okay. So far, I mean, there's some. Remember, this is only a pre-alpha. There's some polishing there. There's some polishing that needs to happen there. But so far, I like it. Hit rocks and trees. No, hit F to interact. You gave 1 copper fleck. That was a big ass rock for 1 copper fleck. Okay. I like it. Herbalism, ore specialties, cooking, skin weaving, metal forging, alchemy, weaponsmithing, tailoring, magic studies, and woodwork. All right, just another one of those little pieces. Alphabetize, please. Please and carrots. It doesn't mean a lot to most people, but to the people with OCD and anxiety, alphabetized, please. Way down on the list, but please. Purple tree can't be cut down. I'll check another tree. Oh, you know what I need to do? Secondary attack, shield, heavy attack, minor aid, touch of light. Oh, really? Thanks for playing. Okay, you already have this skill scribed, and I do. Alrighty. So, yes, the combat it needs some tweaking. Thank you. Because I'm playing. This is actually Twitch. Please, do you think they would put up footage that bad? You can use both when ready. Yeah. So there's a primary timer. Oh, okay. So there's a primary timer and a secondary timer. So there's 2 combat timers that are on the side of your ability bar. Am I supposed to be seeing them? Because I don't. I'm gonna go pick on the bird thing. That will hopefully not be as brutal as the plague wolf thing. There we go. We've got to find a wing. To the left of... Oh! Up there. Got it. To the sides of F1 and F5. Now I see them. That needs to be more prominent. Those 2 circles need to be bigger. But now that I know they're there, they're easy to see. Yeah, I see it now. It's on. That's a weird place to have them, but making our progress, making our way downtown, somewhere fast. Vanessa Carlton stuck in my head.
Did you get the baby bike?
You're not using your offhand. You want to put your secondary attack on right click and spam left and right, then do your skills. You want to put your secondary attack on right click. Okay? Pretend I knew how to do that. The game loop is it's a sandbox with PvE content and live events. I have no idea. So here's the thing. I have no idea what you're talking about. So I thought left mouse button. Oh, so left mouse button, secondary attack, right mouse button. Yeah. A bone stitcher is is basically a necromancer. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's damage and support. So it's left mouse button, right mouse button, and then move it off to... So then really, for the time being... Oh, I can't now because that's kind of weird that you can't free change your bar. Am I missing something about being able to take stuff off of my bar or change my bar? Because it seems kind of weird, like, you can't move stuff on your bar. Because that's very non-intuitive. Again, Shift or Alt doesn't unlock it, and there's no lock. I'm gonna check something real quick. Is there a... It's a UI bug? Okay, as long as we know it's a UI bug. Oh, that's fine. If it's known. Now I understand. Okay, so I'm killing rats. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna kill you anyway. Or I'm not gonna kill you? All right, so I can kind of see the direction they're trying to go with the combat. I can definitely see where they're trying to go with it, but I don't think it's gonna be well received because, how can I say this? Gamers are used to either having QWER or QERT as ability buttons, but it is and I'm not discounting it because I'll see how this goes, but I am saying it is very non-intuitive. Okay, it's very non-intuitive to do left mouse, right mouse, QQ, right mouse, EE, left mouse, right mouse. That's a very non-intuitive way to game. I could see if it was left mouse, right mouse, then 2 activated the ability, but 2 doesn't activate the ability. 2 puts me on the ability so that right mouse button will activate the skill in 2. That's non-intuitive. So left click right and then 2, then right, then back to 5. Yeah, and Left click, right click, right to 2, then right, then back to 5 and spam. That's non-intuitive. I don't see that being well received, but we'll see here. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna say I'm done and like leave, but I can see that piece of the combat being non-intuitive. I can see people not liking it. Come here. That's gonna take a minute. Let's see. Come here, rat. Come here, little rat cakes. Nope, rat cakes left me. Yeah, I can see what I can see what they were going for. They were going for a let's not have mindless spamming of buttons. But now we don't have mindless spamming of buttons. We have Dance Dance Revolution on the keyboard. I'll see how that ends up feeling as combat. I hate to say feel. I'll see what the experience is. It's not the worst combat I've ever experienced. And it's, I mean, I could get used to it. It would also matter if we're allowed to program macros with like Logitech gaming software, which I really wouldn't see why we wouldn't be, because it's not a PvP centric game. So yeah, that's not terrible. Is that an NPC like running around? Not, oh my lord, you guys are doing stuff. I like it. Okay, let's go find some more rats. But yeah, Bone Stitcher. It's like a necromancer. You harvest corpses, and then you can aid your allies or you can hurt your enemies. When I saw Bone Stitcher, it was immediate. I'm like, this is mine. I want to play it. Oh, there we go. Why is everything so bright and washed out? I don't know. Probably because it's bright. Our female characters are in? Yes, female characters are in. You can make a female character at the character selection. Come here, buddy. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that doesn't feel like good combat. I see they're trying to go for a comboing system, and I respect that, but it's rough. This looks very clunky and complicated and completely breaks fluidity of combat. It's one of those things, makes keys just select keys, almost makes the fact of having multiple keys pointless. For that, even a scroll wheel would work. Seems an unnecessary limitation. Make me wonder if it's a compromise to have this game compatible on consoles. Right now, it's only on PC. But yeah, this is very... I'm pressing buttons for the sake of pressing buttons. Right? Would you prefer if primary and secondary were auto attack style and then select a skill as a one-click use? Yeah. Actually, that would work a lot. Thank you. Because I see the direction. I can visualize the idea. I really can. But so right now my attack is my rotation is left mouse button, right mouse button, 2, right mouse button, 5, left mouse button, right mouse button, and keeping in mind, and I think where people are going to have the problem with the combat is my left hand is my driving hand, and my right hand, like, because I can drive ASDW. Well, I can't. Yeah, I can. So I can drive and change abilities at the same time, right? Because I can hold down W. If I'm moving, I can switch which key is hitting abilities. But it becomes very difficult to drive, and then I like the idea of Q and E rotating between, but my question then becomes, which genre of players is... like, which game's players would make the cornerstone? Because I don't know of any game in the modern era that's had controls like this. And again, it's so non-intuitive to computer use. You've noticed a bunch of times, and if they could look at my combat log, they'd see how terrible it is. But what happens is when I switch abilities, it's more natural for me to want a left mouse button confirm that new ability. The final thing you're missing is timing the enemy attacks and dodging. Right, and right now I'm just trying to get my rotation down on mobs that can't kill me, right? I'm trying to just get my rotation down on mobs that aren't a threat to me. Once mobs become once mobs become more of a threat, then I'll have to add in that piece of dodging, maneuverability, but it's hard to maneuver, right, if I'm constantly trying to get to my next ability. But it's not... I see where they were trying to get to, and I would probably stick with it long enough to adapt to it, but how many people will? Does it allow the switch in the middle of the animation like I think the answer is yes, because I have switched. I've preemptively switched. Yes, it ignores animation with the DPS. So yes, there you go. I don't even know how many meat I have. None, apparently. I thought I got one. I thought I had picked up one. I guess I do? You don't have the required items. Oh, I guess I don't. I guess I haven't picked up any rat meat. That's a lot of rats that I killed for no meat. I'm gonna be Bob the vendor and just be standing there with meat. That's weird. Must be a bug. Press F to interact. But there's nothing there. Oh. Servers are lagging. Yeah, understandable. First couple of times you start doing... I'm sure the servers are gonna grind to a halt next week. It's as you know, iterate. Oh, did he push the patch? Might have the patch coming. Yeah, servers are lagging. He's not gonna be fun because he's gonna not die. Yeah. Server's doing its thing. But at least we can look around. Oh, and what else I can do is... Oh, there you go. Absolutely, I think there's some room for improvement. There's a reason, like old McStabbin said, there's a reason why we have what's known as an industry standard. We have an industry standard because that's what people are looking for. This looks like a modern Sherwood dungeon. Alrighty. So apparently save doesn't save it to a local file. Okay, now off to kill more rats. Basically the premise of the game is a open world sandbox with no non-consensual PvP, which is really the direction I think more games need to go. And people are like, but I want my non-consensual PvP. Yeah, because you want to murk people. Just be honest about it. If you want to kill people, just be honest about it. I want to be able to kill everybody I see. Okay. Don't just... Open world PvP creates a lot of opportunities and a lot of content for people. You're right, it does, who like PvP. People who don't like... Hello. People who don't like PvP don't want non-consensual PvP. So that's why I'm glad in this game there's no PvP. There's crafting, yes, there's harvesting, mining. One of these magical buttons. See? There's herbalism, mining, cooking, skin weaving, metal forging, alchemy, weaponsmithing, tailoring, magic studies, and woodwork. There's character development. There's character customization. You can build variants on the 6 classes. There's 6 classes. At launch, there'll be 30 zones to explore. There'll be 19 raids on launch. So, but the big selling point is the live events that the GMs are, the Tomb Masters are constantly tweaking. All right. Just have certain zones being no contest PvP like Arcade, except Arcade got that idea so wrong, because what Arcade did was lock content behind PvP zones. So Arcade's response is literally, don't play 90% of our game. Peace system was good, except it wasn't, because as a former Arcade player, the peace system was stupid, because when the peace system happens, then there's nothing you can do to stop people from just farming ludicrous amounts of gold. Do they have an end game? Yes. The raids. Yeah, you can own a shop. The shops are important because the crafting is so insane and dynamic. And again, that is, again, I'm not picking on them, but I say this about all the companies, right? I say this about all companies. You gotta have some meat on your website, because it costs so little. It costs so little to pay somebody to put some meat up on a website for you. Someone needs to, you know, update the website a little bit. A good-looking website makes people feel comfortable. And honestly, look at all the Asian import games. Why do Western gamers get so excited about Asian import games? Because the websites always look phenomenal. Websites are such an important marketing tool. Jay, why do your websites suck? Because I'm too lazy to go to college and learn how to do websites. But, Zetrix is a saint for helping me with my websites. I just have to get back to updating them. Asian game websites are top-notch, absolutely. All right, so what I'm going to say is that depending on how many starter zones there are, the drop rate on this rat meat might be a little low. Is it just me? This is just another minor thing. I don't like when the fill on an ability goes from the top down. If you watch number 3, I don't like when the fill on the ability goes from the top down. Clockwise, counterclockwise, or from the bottom up. Top down is just weird because it makes me look at the very bottom of the box. These are just all those little nitnoid things. Because when it's like you're filling it up. You're filling it up to be able to be used again. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm too particular. Round 2. But yeah, one of the tricks is you're only going to be allowed to have one character. Part of their monetization strategy is that they don't want pay to win. They don't want microtransactions. So you're going to be allowed to have one character. If you want to have more than one character, you got to either pay the optional sub or you have to buy multiple copies of the game. Some people would be like, why would I buy multiple copies of the game? Well, because you don't want to have a subscription. They just want pay to play. Yeah, a lot of gamers, they're like, well, why should I have to subscribe? Well, you have to subscribe because imagine the idea that video games cost a lot of money to maintain. Box price is what pays for development. Yeah, because servers cost money. You better believe it. Although one gamer told me when we were talking about Ashes of Creation, a server for 50,000 people would only cost $1,500 a month. And I was just like, dude, there is no having a conversation with people this dumb. Like, how am I even going to have a conversation with that? How am I going to, like, do you have to sell items in game to make money? Can't you just have an option to donate or sub or buy expansions? Well, remember, you can't run a company on donations because you need to know your reliable income stream. Believe it or not, developers have this crazy thing that they want to do. They want to be able to know that they've got a they want to know that they have a home and food. How do abilities work? It's class based. So I am a bone stitcher. Although right now I might as well just be guy with stick, but we'll get there. And even if updates can be considered a free content, major updates require a lot of work. Think of how expansions work. Massive updates require big time investments and people need to still eat, pay bills, survive. Yeah, and gamers want the best games in the world and they don't want to pay for it. And game developers want to make the worst games in the world and get everybody else to pay for it. Not all game developers. I'm talking about the corporate greedy ones. Which is, if you get into some of the things that Triune Studios has said, they don't like how gaming has gone, the direction gaming has gone. They're not the first company to start to say, we don't like the direction the genre has gone. I don't think there's gonna be, I haven't heard about survival mechanics in this one. Yeah, you can lease a store, but I haven't heard anything about survival mechanics. And to be honest, survival mechanics don't need to be in MMOs. Survival mechanics need to stay in survival games, right? And they need to stay out of they need to stay out of MMORPGs or sandboxes that aren't designed to be, because when you have survival mechanics, you're implying that you're a survival game. And a survival game implies that you have some amount of loot drop, partial loot drop, full loot drop. It also implies that you have some sort of base building. Just keep all those mechanics out, right? Keep all those mechanics out of the game unless you're going down the route of we're building an MMO survival game, which there's an MMO survival game on my YouTube I covered called Once Human. So if MMO survival games are your deal, there's always a workaround for survival. We're right, but if there's a workaround for it, if it's not a meaningful mechanic, why do I want it? Wonderful. Yeah, New World is a perfect example that was a survival game that tried to morph into an MMORPG.
As ugly as they get, but he's incredibly nice to Bob, screen all your tractor.
New World absolutely, New World abandoned survival though. Yes, absolutely, they did. They abandoned it, but they didn't redo their whole game, and that was the problem because their gathering mechanics were based around a fort building survival game. And then everybody said about Ashes, everything we see should be gatherable. And now what did Intrepid do? They pivoted. Well, there's a reason why everything shouldn't be gatherable in non-survival games. Like, if I'm playing a survival game and I walk up to this tree, right? Then this tree should be gatherable. A survival game should be a fully destroyable world. And that's fine in a survival game. But if you're not a survival game, then you want point node gathering because you want to control the input of supply into the system. Oh my god. I only wanted one. I got 3. I knew that was going to happen. The genre did go that way because a businessman saw how much potential money a game can bring in. People often mistake the devs with the people who work on the game with the shareholders. Right. And that is the problem. Not everybody who works at the game studio is a developer. My point was, is there really the only place for genre to be, or what is related? Because it makes money at an expected rate, and therefore is all that keeps getting released. Right, and that's the problem. Crap that makes money. Has the genre really gone that way, or is that all the devs are offering? I would say the genre has gone in a terrible direction because nobody, like, I like small studios like Triune Studios that are trying new things. Try new things and see what works. Sadly, it's industry standard to set right now. Well, here's the problem. Gamers say they don't want another WoW clone. But when you get a bunch of gamers into testing, what's all the feedback they give? Is an attempt to make it another WoW clone. Well, if you don't want WoW clones, stop giving feedback that turns the games into WoW clones. And it's just that simple. If you want to see the industry get better, if you want to see the industry change, support developers that have good ideas. It costs you nothing to wish list a game, and you may never play it. But if you wish list it, then those small developers can get out in front of other people. And this is not, yeah, this is Triune, not Tryon. If this was a Tryon game under Scott Hartzman, I would have not made a single video for it. Whoa, dude, what the hell are you? What are you? All right. Okay, I need to buy a recipe for... I don't have enough money for a kebab recipe. What are you talking about? 1 gold, 5 silver. What? I don't... Did I... The isometric survival game I played in alpha last year was Fractured. Oh, I do have... Okay. I'm so confused. You've learned the recipe for kebabs. Okay. Is there no recipe book? How do I know what I need to make the kebab? You have to go to the fire and see? I don't know how well received that's going to be. It's old school, and so I'm cool with it because you guys are gonna laugh, but I have a legal pad next to me for pretty much all the time. But again, there's a video on my YouTube, and I'm sorry I keep sending you guys over to my YouTube. I'm really not. There's just, I create a lot of videos that are talking points. Are we optimizing the fun out of games? Are we optimizing the fun out of the games? A lot of the things in here are old school and going to be hard for people who are used to modern quality of life to stomach. They may not be the target audience though, but here's the problem, and I want to talk about that real quick. I absolutely agree with you. There's a target audience for every game. The thing is, it's a video game, so you do need to have quality of life features. You don't really need to force people to go to a crafting station to see the mats needed. Exactly. And this is, again, like what I said earlier in the show. There is throwing back, right? There is throwing back, making Ford Mustangs look like Mustangs used to look. Great idea. Making cars look like Model Ts. You're probably going to make your car company go bankrupt. Quality of life features are quality of life features for a reason. The thing is, it's a video game. Oh, the idea of learning a recipe is that you would recall what the ingredients are without going to the cooking farm and be like, all right, that's what I needed. Right, and I think that is part and parcel what people's problem is going to be. You know why a lot of things were like the way they were in the old video games? Because they didn't know a better way to do it. They were like, oh, now I agree for this one. I think there's one too many steps. Oh, in the well, for which one? But no, quality of life is that. And it's like, ready? You live in a nice house. So why don't you live in a cabin out in the woods with an outhouse and a wood burning stove? Quality of life is quality of life. Getting people to move out of their comfort zone is a psychological thing. It should be buy recipe, know what's needed, gather it, go to fire and make it. Or it should be the guy giving me the quest should tell me what the ingredients to the recipe are going to be. He should tell me I'm going to need 3 radishes and 2 onions and 5 pieces of meat. Therefore, while I'm running around. Now, he doesn't, you know, because you're giving me a tutorial starter thing, right? You even just change the verbiage. Normally, you're going to have to buy the recipe and go to the crafting station before you can build it. Spoiler alert. But for right now, I'm going to tell you a kebab takes this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, get them on the hook. How do you know getting people out of the comfort zone is psychological? The complete adult psychotherapy treatment planner? Yes. That's what if it a disability? Well, that would still be psychological, wouldn't it? I can't get out of my comfort zone. Why? Your comfort zone has nothing to do with your wheelchair. So that ability, like, that ability ain't gonna get the job done. I will say this. I like the idea that the world has danger in it. I like a game. I like a game that I can die in. Not being funny. I really do. I just feel that ability should do more. But yeah, so it's like most people already have their preferred game. It doesn't have to be an MMO. Most gamers have a preferred game. Getting them to come to your game means getting them out of their comfort zone, getting them to try something new. I wonder if they're using Unreal Engine game ability system and a combo of tracing. It seems like it needs a bit more work. I also always remind people, the combat you see on the screen, I am not at my best when I'm streaming because as you can see, I'm constantly looking to the left to look at the screen. I am not an amazing combat player. I am not amazing at action combat. In a grand strategy game, I'll own you, right? In a turn-based game, I'll own you. How many life skills can one toon have? To my knowledge, you can have all of them. I haven't seen any information that says you can't. Now, I've also not seen any information that says you can. But I've not been told I have to make choices. I have reached level 4. I mean, that would make sense too if they're only going to allow you to have one character. I think having something new is awesome, and that's comfort that attracts a lot of people. New mechanic, yeah, except I'm saying this. You can have all the new things in the world. It's not going to attract people if they're not comfortable with the game. If their quality of life isn't met, and this is where a Steam game is so dangerous. A person's going to log into your game. They're going to play your game for an hour and 45 minutes. And because it's a Steam game and the window of refund is 2 hours, you literally have to hook, line, and sinker somebody in an hour and 45 minutes. The first 90 minutes of your gameplay needs to be so compelling that you get them to not refund. And therein it lies the rub. Like how many people refunded Dragon's Dogma inside the 2 hour window? Because they were like, I'm not paying for this. And there were quite a few. A member of our community had to wait 4 days for their refund. That should let you know that they were processing a lot of refunds. And some of it is buyer's remorse. Some of it is buyer's remorse. Yeah, that's... Refund isn't a comfort. Refund is just a fact to do in business. It's just you have to accept people can refund your stuff. It's not a comfort. In fact, being able to refund is actually in some ways a downside because you're not giving a game its full possible fair shot.
Thank you.
You're not giving the game a fair shake. That's mechanics will always happen because the world does not understand what they are buying. Right, absolutely. They don't understand what they're buying, or they don't know if they like it until they try it. Okay, so there is XP loss. If you didn't notice that, I've reached level 4 a couple of times now. Obviously, the vendor has some new abilities for me, which I can't afford because the grind is real. I'm not messing with those pigs, man. I'm not strong enough to fight the pigs. Probably would be easier. This seems like another scenario where if you start without your friends, it's gonna be rough. Yeah, XP loss reminds me back to Lineage 2, right? Reminds me of dying in Arcade before you hit level 55 and locked in all your XP. Do I think most returns for Dragon's Dogma 2 are price, quality, or products being misadvertised? Quality. I mean, a lot, not a lot, but a handful of people who refunded the game told me they logged into the game and they can't see any of the floor textures. Well, there's a problem there. There were people that were PMing me when I played last week asking me what I had done to fix my floor textures, and I was like, I didn't fix my floor textures. If I log into a game and my floor textures are fucked up, I'm just going to refund the game. It's that simple. I will check for a same-day driver patch, but if I log in and the game quality is unplayable, all right. So it's pre-alpha, but what I'm going to say is this introductory loop needs to be refined. I understand the point of this, but the drop rate on meat is so terrible that, as you've seen, I've died 4 times. And all of it has been, I have to keep killing the same mobs to get meat, and then I got to kill mobs to get drops so that I can get the onion I need. It's not, I don't feel a sense of progression. I feel a sense of revolution. I've done this revolution already. The drop rate is bad. I can't get what I need. I'm not saying make the drop rate 100%, but I'm saying that if you need 5 meat and then another 5 meat and the drop rate is this low, that's the thing with gamers need to live and accept it. They absolutely do not need to live and accept it. Gamers don't need to live and accept anything. Gamers just won't play your product. Gamers will just take their money and put it somewhere else. And like Cyberpunk released at what, $59.99? I guess it depends on every person's personal experience and opinion when it comes to that product. You're right, it's always a personal thing, but there's some big picture universals. The intro of the game is important, but doesn't mean they need to put the whole game in front of you. No, they don't need to put the whole game in front of you in the first hour, but the first hour of the game. What did I just see? Because I consult for a restaurant. If a person has an enjoyable experience at the restaurant, there's a 40% chance they'll come back. If they have an enjoyable time at the restaurant the second time, it's a 42% chance they'll come back. But if a person has 3 consecutive good experiences at your restaurant, the return rate is 70% for a 4th visit. So you need to make sure that the first hour grabs people. The first hour grabs people. This already runs better, looks and runs better than Pantheon. Don't say that, man. The Pantheon crowd is pretty savage and wild. They'll find you. It'll be your head on the block. What's the most common reason we return things? Buyer's remorse. How many visits until they become a regular? Today's lesson didn't go into that. Not really. A hungry human will always go back to eat where it's cheap. Wrong. That's not true at all. Because a hungry human won't go to a restaurant. I'm not afraid of anybody who got a D in PE. Jay, what is your opinion on some content being delivered? I'm returning to shorts. To me, it seems like it's harder for someone to succeed in advertising something if people lose interest in the first 6 to 10 seconds. Yep. We're seeing a massive shift in advertising right now. With TikToks in the 5-second attention span, how you promote. I don't think this devs can consider this game as a restaurant. A business is a business. Period. What are the inverse statistics? How likely are you to return if you don't enjoy the experience? I don't have those numbers in front of me because I wasn't planning on doing a discussion on commerce. But believe it or not, there are a lot of people who don't return a product they don't like because they are too lazy. All right, hold on a second. We're going to try something. I think we have enough bits and bobs. Try circling the boars when you fight them. They will kill you even at level 6-7 if you stand in front of them and take them. I will try that. But it's not easy to circle people with this weird combat system. So if every creature has an attack pattern you can learn and dodge, then what I will say is this, and it's not going to be a friendly thing to say, but I always speak the truth no matter if it hurts. If every creature has an attack pattern that you can learn and dodge, this game will be dead before it ever gets off the ground, because that's one of the largest pieces of feedback that people had about New World. In New World, I forgot the name of the big cat that was the good grind XP, and it literally had the same attack pattern every single time. If there's going to be a learnable, repeatable pattern, people aren't going to enjoy the game, because then literally I just need to know how to never get hit. Okay, I bought that scroll. Maybe I didn't.
What are you looking for?
Oh, I didn't. I left it green. You don't know if you've ever experienced buyer's remorse? 9 silver. Hands of poverty. I love it. A rock shard. A sharpened piece of cutlery. Well, I mean, it makes sense. Oh, 2 gold. I don't have 2 gold. I have 2 gold now.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that. Oh. There you go. Face, head. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now maybe I won't get deleted in 3 seconds. Now maybe it'll take 4 seconds to delete me. But lots and lots of people love New World Combat. People have stopped playing it for like a content, not because of the combat. Here, I'm just gonna give you the truth of the matter is, right? Lots and lots of people love New World's combat. Bullshit. Game never hit more than 1 million concurrent players. You can say lots and lots, but let's not overinflate it. Let's keep it real. The game never had more than 1 million concurrent players. It very quickly dropped from 903,000 all-time peak to 444 average to 155 average. Okay, now you're going to say a lot of people didn't play because they're the content. The truth of the matter is, a lot of those people that quit in the first month hated the combat system, because that's the feedback they left. If a game never had more than 1 million concurrent players, and now it has 12,000 players, then what that teaches us is action combat, if it's good, bad, or indifferent, can't carry your game. You gotta have the thing that can carry the game. Now let's see. Yeah, I still don't like the buttons. Don't forget, New World has no sub. Also true. New World has no sub. So once you buy the game, you can go back to it and play whenever you want. Even whenever they release their big update. We've released our big update, and it's going to fix the game. What'd they get? 46,000 people came back as their new all-time peak. First impressions are the most important. New World launched with a very, very poor first impression. I feel like this initial loop would have been a whole lot easier if I had been smart enough to check the vendor. And that's my own fault. I feel that if I had had maybe some better gear, I might have been in better shape. An iron scrap. Having been a part of that community for nearly 1,000 hours, spent time in the Reddit forums, YouTubes, people aren't complaining about combat. I'm not talking about maintaining the first million. I'm talking about the 200,000 to 300,000 that remained 2 months in. Well, first of all, you didn't have... I'm not going to argue with you, because I'm not going to argue about we can agree to disagree. I'm not going to argue when you're wrong about the numbers, okay? I'm simply not going to have my opinion of the numbers is, okay? I'm not going to do that. There weren't 300,000 people playing 2 months in, period. It wasn't happening. It was 144,000, I think. And it's great that you say you're a part of the community. Oh shit, it wasn't even that many. Oh, it was 155,000 2 months in, right? So this is why New World is a great talking point. Average players, 410, then 155, 83, 65. Every month, they were losing 50% of their population. And you say you're part of their community, you spent time in the Reddit, the forums, the YouTube, and they're not complaining about combat. I noticed you didn't mention Steam reviews, and I don't know which you're looking at, but when you say you've been in a community for 1,000 hours, and you're going to legitimately say you didn't see problems about the combat system, I don't know what to tell you, because I saw comments about the combat system all the time in the first 3 months. All the time. They lost half their population each month. Boom. There wasn't 300,000 people playing in the second month. There wasn't even 200,000 people playing in the second month. Not on average. Sure, if we take that number and we extrapolate, we can get a different number. But no, people hated New World's combat. The first wave of people who left were the people who hated the combat. The first group of people who refunded said, this sucks, because the combat is jank as shit. I'm not saying none of it is combat. I'm saying that the lack of content... Okay, and you'd be wrong, and that's fine. Were there people who love the combat who left because of lack of content? Absolutely. There are people who love New World's combat who left because of lack of content. But the people who love the combat stayed months in. The initial wave of people who left said the game sucks because the combat sucks. Then the people who liked the combat said the combat can't carry this anymore. I'm leaving till there's content. I think that would be fair. But then what happened is content came, they didn't come back. So if their complaint was there's no content, why didn't they come back with that big content release? First people who left were the PvPers who gave the flagging system a try. The devs said to give it a chance and proved once that flagging PvP is always right. Flagging PvP is not always bad. Flagging PvP is bad in a game where there's no incentive to flag. A flagging system that you can only flag while in town is bad. Because then, oh, we're going to have a little skirmish. Shit, well, I'm not flagged. You need to be able to flag up on the fly. Period. I have no idea what Ashes has showed off. I stopped following Ashes last August. So once Ashes has a release date, I'll look at all that. I didn't run into any rats. Oh, there's one. Come here. I'm hungry. I like the PvP quests in New World. I remember the PvP quests in New World being almost impossible to finish because nobody was wandering around flagged. Which is why there shouldn't be PvP quests in a game like that. That's a lot of snacks. Well, yeah, but you shouldn't be able to outside heal. What you said is nothing more frustrating than you can't heal someone right next to you. You shouldn't be allowed to outside heal. You should have to be flagged to heal. It's one of the cheapest things I've seen is when an outside healer can just influence the fight. You should always have to share. The healer should always be in control of their flagging state, but you should always have to flag to heal a flagged person. Yeah, this lack of meat on drops is... The drop rate is bad. But the combat is growing on me. The combat is growing on me. Now, obviously, the combat isn't growing on me when I have to fight a mob. I have to kite or move or duck, dodge, dip, and weave. But... it's not my favorite combat in the world, but it's growing on me. But yeah, I feel like I have my hand. Yeah, it feels like I can't move because I'm focusing too much on this combo. Left mouse button, right mouse button, 2. Left mouse button, right mouse button. I mean, I'm able to move, which is good. I'm not animation locked in place. And obviously, if I'm using left and right mouse button to attack, I can't drive with left. Yeah, this is going to be... I don't know how this combat's going to be received. I just don't know if people are going to give this a chance for more than 15 or 20 minutes. I just don't. I don't know. I can see people just walking away from it. Just shouldn't have flagging. It's huge immersion breaking when the game is a giant open world sandbox and arbitrary menu click changes what they should have had. No, you can't. People need to stop having that's action combat. The point is to have movement, blocking, swing. Right, but this isn't traditional action combat because you're trying to move while you're at the same time like, you know what I'm saying? Like which finger, like I can change my skills while I'm moving, but normally I use my ring finger or my index finger. Like if I'm walking forward, my middle finger is on W. I use my ring finger or my index finger to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? If I'm moving forward, it's very difficult to move forward and then be moving my abilities. Normally, I don't have to press Q multiple times to move the cursor. It's just going to be a learning curve. PvP servers and PvE servers don't work if there are mechanics in the game that are PvP or PvE. Open world games need to be open world games. You can't have server rules on them. Stop trying to fill the hole in your heart that Ashes used to fill with other MMOs. It's time to reunite with Ashes. No, I'll cover Ashes when they have an Alpha 2 date. And then it's going to take me what? November, December, January, February, March. Wait. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. It's going to take 8 days for me to catch up on Ashes. They've had 8 live streams. It'll take me 8 days of watching the live streams, and in a 4-hour show, I'll watch the live streams, and then I'll, shit, the live streams won't even take me that long because I can chop out the 45 minutes of filler, and then I'll look at the wiki. Dark Age was the first PvP, didn't exist before then. PvP is a WoW thing. What? PvP existed before Dark Age of Camelot. PvP existed before WoW. PvP existed in EverQuest. PvP existed in Ultima Online. So we've had PvP for forever. Yeah, PvP existed in real life long before. Absolutely true. Man, I've still only got the 2 meat. All right, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna finish getting our gear. Guess how I found out being at war was PvP flagged even in high second Eve? Because you lost something? All right, so this is another piece, just feedback. Your opening quest loop can't have a drop rate this low. Now, I do understand that I can farm whatever and go buy the meat, but again, that's not the gameplay loop gamers are accustomed to. PvP was done most simple and best in Dark Age of Camelot. You had a gate you went through and it was a PvP zone. Yes, exactly. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Empathy. Oh, we have a stat called empathy? Okay, let's sell these first. Let me keep you. I'm gonna keep you. Keep you too. It doesn't have resource gathering like skinning the mobs. It doesn't have skinning, no.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. So an axe handle does the same damage as a sword. Good to know. And so I still need... Oh, meat. Okay, so there you go. It's not rat meat I need, it's meat, and I can only buy that stuff. So, perfect. That's a learning curve. I've been farming extra stuff that I didn't need to farm because it's the wrong meat. This is rat meat, not meat. Attention to details matters. And that, I will say... I enjoy. I enjoyed that moment right there. Yeah, meat is the resource category. Wait, no, because it says it had... Hold on. Let me go back there. Because if I'm supposed to buy it, that makes sense. If I'm not supposed to buy it, it still doesn't make sense then. Component property, meat. So I can do it with meat. With rat meat. If I could get 5 rat meat, then that doesn't make sense. But now maybe I won't die every 2 seconds because I actually have gear. And yeah, Wolfgar says, does it have skinning? Not every game is going to have skinning. And it doesn't appear to have lumberjacking. Let's go back to this vendor now and see what meat he sells.
I shall send the hounds of the underworld to feast upon your flesh.
Oh, thanks. I don't want you to feast upon my flesh. That's, yeah, that was intense. That's what I like about the game. That they've got events that trigger, and you're not just, like, yeah, the lupus sucked, but the lupus absolutely sucked, but the fact that I know there's more content to be had. Yeah, this drop rate for meat is terrible. Dark wolf of the underworld that I just touched. So yeah, I would say that the introductory loop is a little rough because the drop rates aren't amazing. Like, I should be keeping track. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna keep track of how many rats it is between meats, which it's been more than one, but we're just gonna say 1, 2, or we'll say creatures between meats. That way we kill. Oh, but yeah, we'll kill what we come across. It's 2. I'm not tanking you because you'll kill me. I don't have the maneuverability to fight boars. I'll fight kill. Oh, I just, there you are. Okay, so 3. I will start our count over. What is this? I come to this little grove and the rat meat starts flowing? What is this, the grove of all rat meat? Okay, I was gonna say if I got 3 in a row, we were gonna protest. It would have been in our favor, but I'm still gonna protest. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. We'll try the event soon. Said it failed sadly. That's okay. I'm still in the starter area. Still just trying to get my 5 meat. I still want to know whose butt that is. Yeah, I actually wonder if being able to scroll wheel through the abilities would make it better, and that you could bind out of game. Are there any steampunk or sci-fi MMOs that are any good, or are they fantasy? That's a good question. I haven't come across a good steampunk MMO. Otherwise, I'd be there, right? That's just where I would be. Sci-fi? No, there's not any good ones. Who cares about what? People do change as they get older. Yeah. People grow, as they should. People do grow. People grow, they change, they adapt. Sadly, a lot of people don't change, and they don't realize it until too late in their life that they should have. He's just going for his stroll, running with the sword out. Yeah, this is... Could you imagine trying to do this quest if there were a lot of people in the starter area? Like, that would... This would be infinitely harder to get your 10 meat that you need. There is more people playing Eden than most modern games. I don't even know what game you're talking about, so I'm going to just say I doubt that. I have no idea what game you're on about. So I take it the boars are supposed to be taken down in a group at this level, because you obviously can't take them out. Maybe some of the other classes could. I will also say it's weird. And this is another thing that probably needs some explanation. Like, people aren't going to understand that you don't have enough mana for that, but they're going to see a blue bar. Because people aren't going to understand that spells in the way they work. I understand the idea of a sandbox game, but just because it's a sandbox game doesn't mean that people don't need to know the mechanics. Like... Go out and... It's like the same exact thing I said about Mortal Online. Go out and do these things. Like, we're not going to give you a tutorial to know anything. 3K people playing it. If 3K people are playing a game, then it doesn't have more people playing it than most modern games. I don't know what to tell you then. You liked Chloro better? Most modern games peak at 500k than nothing after 2 weeks. No, you're completely wrong. I don't know what to tell you. You're wrong. Most modern MMOs, most modern single player games, most modern shooters, which genre? Most modern MMOs don't peak at 500k and then nothing after 2 weeks. Again, like I've already shown, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna have people sit in the chat and just bullshit nonsense. You can have whatever opinion you want, but if you're gonna have a bullshit opinion, I'm gonna call you out on it, and I'm gonna say no, that's not right. Like I'm about to do with Astro. Not even 1% of modern games get anywhere near 500k before dying. Which genre? Which I did. Which genre? Which genre are you referring to? Because if you say most modern games, then you unfortunately are including every single game that ever releases. And you're right. What are we talking about? AAA studio games, Kickstarter games, MMORPGs, shooters, card games. Yeah, because then I'll turn around in Helldivers 2, I'll turn around and say, yeah, Helldivers 2 crushed it. Dragon's Dogma 2 crushed it. So when you can't make a big statement that says modern games, because yeah, you're right, but every day there's dozens of bullshit phone games released. And then if I say, yeah, you're right because of phone games, you'll be like, well, I'm not talking about phone games. Okay, well, what are you talking about? What genre of games? I mean, if we take MMOs, most MMOs hit close to, if we do the ×3 deal, because that's the fair deal because there's the time zones, most MMOs get about 2.5 million people to try them that come out of a AAA studio. If they come out of these independent studios, then I'd agree with you. They struggle to hit 10,000 players. Okay, so if you're talking all games, then yes. If you're making a statement that most games don't hit 500k, then I'll agree with you. If we're talking the sum of all games released, then yes, I agree with you. I can't even find another rat. The drop rate is just bad. Because this is a starter quest, the drop rate is terrible. And this is the problem that Fractured had. and Fractured had to pivot. Fractured understood that you didn't want people to be able to farm the starter mobs for useful stuff. So what they did is they made the starter mobs drop. They made the starter mobs drop something that was worthless later on in game. But as it is right now, I would say I've spent the good last 20 minutes trying to find pockets of mobs that I can kill without aggro. Because I can't, dude, Nisher, stop. Your game isn't, a 2017 980 Ti isn't running ray tracing. You're not pushing games. You're like, there's no game that can push my rig at 2017. Okay? Bullshit. Your game, you're not running ray tracing quality on Cyberpunk. So yes, there are modern games that would cause your rig to melt. Okay? I don't know what you're on about. Your 2017 rig isn't running Cyberpunk with ray tracing on. It's simply not. Done. Period. It's again, it's not even open for debate. Well, I don't know what you're on about, man, but like I said, if you're gonna just dribble on in the chat, you just won't be allowed to chat. Because you just off in fucking La La Land. I can make a random scene in EU slop and unoptimized assets with millions of poly count and will fry your rig, no questions asked. Right. It's like, I don't mind if people say my rig from 2017 suits my needs of today because nothing I want to play stresses it. I'll be like, cool, nothing you want to play stresses it. But if somebody's going to sit here and just bullshit and be like, my 2017 rig, blah, 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 I'm going to be like, fine, load Cyberpunk 2077 and put it on Psycho. And I'll be standing there with a fire extinguisher. Like, can we keep it on fucking planet Earth, please? I don't want to keep looking over to the left at the chat and it just be full of bullshit. Because then other people are sitting there going to say, why is this streamer letting this guy just dribble on in chat? But no, back to this. The drop rate, either the drop rate needs to change for the meat in the starter area, but you might not want to have meat drop at a high rate because you're trying to control overall access to meat, which I don't know yet, or you drop tutorial. I know building PCs, that's all. You clearly don't. And just move on from there. Because you think a 980 Ti is running CP 2077 on Psycho. CP came out 3 years ago. Your rig won't run it at top quality. On low, maybe. So, but yeah, this piece right here is going to frustrate people right to the Steam refund page. Nope. Done with you. Balancing our content is generally hard. I get why some games just make things hard to get in order to keep players playing, but it does get annoying. You know, I don't know if he's trolling, I don't know what he's doing, but he's just not here anymore because, you know, half the shit that's dribbled out of his mouth in the last hour is useless. So, yeah, there's mining. But yeah, the starter area, he either needs to give you 4 meat, right? Or 3 meat and say, go get 2 more. Or it needs to be the fractured system where it's tutorial meat. But this is bad. Like this right here will be the first thing I've said about Eternal Tombs that's bad. This is where a person is going to say, fuck this, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to go refund. And I don't know. Yes, I am going to admit if I could go kill the boars, it would increase my pool of killable mobs. And that might be the solution. Or if there were more players and loot is shared, that might be the solution. But the way it is right now, just trying to get through my little tutorial, I can't because I am literally stuck on, I am literally stuck on 1 more meat. And it's been that way. And the mob density doesn't seem high enough, right? I didn't see that Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2 is crazy bloat. I don't remember Battlefront 2 being 1 gig though. I remember Battlefront 2 being quite large. Not as large as this, but quite large. See, and the problem is I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Oh, the old Battlefront. Yeah, that's trying to dodge and get away from it and then switching back. Maybe if I could rebind my key bar. This is an MMO, but it's an alpha only. Yes, this is an MMO and it's an alpha only. If you want to sign up, what you can do is, well, no, it won't be this, but I'm going to do this anyway. You can go to their Steam page. Oh yeah, request access is on the Steam page, right? No. Yeah, there's a request access button. You can go to the Steam page, whitelist it while you're there, and then request access, and you can hopefully get into the test, which starts next week. And just remember, you're signing up for a pre-alpha. You are not signing up for a finished product. If the only thing you want to do is demo play and not test, then it's not the project for you. There's a difference between play testing and like actual alpha testing. Like the difference being, I don't like combat. Okay, great. You don't like combat. Why don't you like combat? I don't like combat for this, that, and the other. Okay. This broke. Like the UI is broken. As soon as before I reported it, somebody was like, yeah, it's a known issue. Okay. What's a known issue? Well, what's a big issue is this last meat. I'm literally sitting on, I need one more rat meat, and I'm not even seeing any rats anymore. I wonder if they have the same problem that Intrepid Studios had with Unreal Engine 5 in the phantoms, the ghosts, and then you're not getting respawns. Yeah, because I don't see any rats up here anymore. So yeah, this is where like the anxiety and the frustration for people is gonna set in, and they're gonna be like, this game sucks, and they're gonna piece the fuck out and they're gonna refund it. And then the problem is, remember, I can't remember what game it was, but the Torah mobs dropped a certain number of items you needed for a quest, then nothing else. If you didn't pick it up, you couldn't get another one. That is true. And I did have some problems. So I doubt that's true here. I hope it's not, because that would suck. But it's like, oh, there's one. I don't want to kill anything other than rats, because even if it does drop a meat, I'm not going to have a fifth rat meat then. I'm going to have two different types of meat. I can see that snake right there, and I don't want to have multiple mobs. That thing just completely wrecks me. The rat's the same size as the wild boar, right? All right. So that took, I think, close to 35, 40 minutes. A kebab. I got a kebab.
What are you looking for?
What am I looking for? How about a shotgun? I'm looking for a shotgun. Do you have one of those?
Thank you.
Did you get the cup? Excellent. You have done. Being a good meat fly, pretty rare talent. Largest sums of plat. But you can at least get the basics to keep yourself healthy. Go ahead and eat it when we're done here. It'll strengthen you to kill someone. Now I want to talk to you about something incredibly important. I know you've heard it all your life, but now that you're learning to fight, it will be more tempting to give in, especially when you are in the most dire of circumstances. Never, I mean this seriously, never summon magic. This will lead you to learn to use the resources from the world around you. You can use magic items or craft magic things, but never summon magic. If you do, consume your soul, and you will give yourself over to Dragnaroks. Magic will warp you by twisting your body, polluting your mind, and you'll turn out looking like...
I'm all for
You've
it.
never seen a Death Seeker. Well, let's just say you've never experienced a more awful sight in all of your life. There are men who gave into the temptation and now are trapped in Dragnaroks' army. Flesh and mind rotting away. Absolutely awful. In fact, that's what all of Dragnaroks' minions are. Warped living beings, either created by magic or destroyed by it. Take a moment and purchase the abilities you want to learn from the vendor in the tent over there. Try them out and come back here.
Okay, I'm gonna be right back because I've got a really important piece of feedback for this loop right here. Okay, so this is a lot like the Mortal Online 2 problem. You want me to learn my abilities, but in order for me to have gotten to the point where you want me to learn my abilities, you've already had me go into combat, right? It just seems like the order. Adaptable Fox, with AI voices nowadays, you can voice act every NPC. No, you cannot. And if you want a great example of this, go watch my video on Robin Hood Sherwood Builders. You absolutely cannot use AI voices for NPCs because it turns out fucking terrible. People are like, oh, AI can take that place. Remember, it took upwards of $90 million for EA and BioWare to do all the non-game stuff. Yeah, they can, but let me tell you, it's fucking terrible. Friar Tuck in Sherwood, Robin Hood Sherwood Builders is fucking terrible, right? It's fucking terrible. I would rather have no voice acting than bad voice acting. Okay, so I've worked out my abilities. What am I, level 4? I'd be level 5 if I hadn't died so many times. Oh shit, that's loud. Drops of Blood, level 7. What's their vision for endgame? They have 19 raids that they plan on having at launch. So,
Thank you.
that's kind of their goal.
Like that creature you bought kebab supplies from. He's never even used magic, but he's warped by the sins of his parent. He was born like that and became a follower of the Triune shortly after he could understand what was going on. The Triune asked us to never use magic, but we ignored him. Shame on us all. We deserve much of this horror that we've brought in the fear, but the Triune is gracious to us. We must bear the burdens of our choices, but for those of us who seek a life free of the evil within this world, he is with us and helps us in our fight against Dragnar. I'm not sure if you're ready, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Go and travel forth to the goblin encampment further into the woods. You'll notice a fortress upon a hill, and inside this fortress are stacked. Slaughtering goblins here will give you much experience against a weak magic. Kill them, cut them up, bring their eyes. I'll use them for a nice pie later.
Wow, he wants goblin eyes for a pie. Goblin eyes for a pie. Whoops. That hard stop on a loading screen caught me off guard. Least shop, 1,000 plat or 100 plat. I'm actually surprised they needed to have that abrupt loading screen. Oh my god, look at this guy. The abrupt loading screen really caught me off guard. Given that it's an Unreal Engine 5, I wouldn't have imagined that they would have had that. That shocked me. What is the focus on the testing session? That's a great question. And the focus is on, where's my, experience some of the events, fighting multiple types of enemies, going through the crypts, the caves, the crafting, and completing quests up to about level 10. It's really just the first feel. Is this on an ultra-wide monitor? Yes, I'm on an ultra-wide monitor, which is why you get which is why I put the little blur above and below, because It is. It's just. It is what it is. One thing I will say I like, there's no idiot lights to my quest. There's no map. There's no open up the map. There's no lines on the ground. There's no go here. There's literally go into the forest and find goblins. Shouldn't have sold all my copper flecks. I feel like I'm glad shift is the dodge roll, but at the same time, I feel like sprint should be a thing. See, and there's that seller's remorse. Now I'm like, shit, if I just hadn't sold all that stuff, I'd have what I need for the next quest. So, and again, long term, I have to wonder, is 10 a good number for how many people are going to be in the starter area? Or is 10 going to be too high? And I don't know how many starter areas they're going to have. But are they going to have too many people in too small of a space, all trying to get 10 copper flecks to get their bow, to get out of this starter area and out into the world? I mean, is 10 the right number? Is 3 a better number? And then later on make it 10? Is 10 just a bad number all around? Remove swing, global cooldown, and use stamina for hit strength. No, I think that's happy to glad. To be honest, like the swing global cooldown is good. I know a lot of people don't like a global cooldown, but because it's not a global cooldown. It's, yeah, but I disagree with you. I don't think that would make combat feel good. I don't concur with you. I don't think putting a stamina bar in suddenly makes the combat better. I think you've exchanged one poor combat idea with potential. I think you've exchanged one potentially poor combat idea for another poor combat idea. The point is for basic competency. The number is arbitrary, but it should be just enough to say, yeah, okay, I know how to farm mats. Right. But no, I don't think that a stamina bar fixes the combat. I hate to shit on people's hard work. Honestly, I would rather see a 1 second global cooldown, or I'd rather see a input disable while an ability is casting, so that when I hit number 1, I cast ability number 1. When I hit number 2, I cast ability number 2. I would really need to know what game is the reference point for this game. Like where did this combat system originate from? We modeled our combat system off of, and if the answer isn't a good one, then the answer is, okay, I don't see this combat being well received. I don't see a stamina bar combat game being well received. Intrepid Studios on Ashes of Creation were told, what the fuck are you doing? A QTE, a quick time event on basic attacks? It was, seriously, what the fuck are you doing? Like, a QTE and a tab action hybrid game. They took it out because they literally, like, people literally said, nah, that ain't gonna work. Combat, I'm not being overly critical of the combat because I understand the game is in pre-alpha and a lot of it is going to get refined, but action combat makes or breaks your game. So this swapping bars while trying to juke around boars, like, I don't give a shit. I'll die 700 times because I'm streaming. I don't care. But I honestly believe if I started this game as a player and the way the game has been presented so far, I would have walked away from it. Like, I think the number of items I had to farm was too many. Not that it's too many for the sake of too many, but I spent 45 minutes getting 5 meat, right? That's not an entertaining game loop. Like, it seems like everywhere I go, I'm running into boars, and I don't have a way to effectively deal with boars because the game hasn't explained to me very well how to get more mana, right? I have a spell that in theory would help me deal with boars. Now I can use it. Okay, now it works. Oh, but it uses all my mana. Yeah, that's... Oh, now I get rat meat easy. I just think that there's a lot of good ideas here, but I think there's a lot of iteration. I think a lot of feedback's going to come out of this testing with the content creators and then next week with the players. And I think a lot of it is going to be hard for the team to swallow. And I'm going to tell you right now, what Tailmeyer just did, there's going to be 900 different suggestions for how to make combat better. And the most important thing to take out of all of that is, if there's 900 suggestions for how to make combat better, the answer may or may not be in that pile of suggestions. But the problem at that point has been validated. But then the problem is and this is where the danger comes in. There's going to be people that, due to being White Knight fanboys, are going to say the combat is great. Just like there were people who say the Mortal Online 2 combat is great. And I want to just be honest. The Mortal Online 2 combat is not great. There were people that when I was talking about having to change that combat in order to appeal to a wider audience. They said, what you're suggesting is going to kill the soul of the game. I said, what soul of what game, man? You got 900 people playing the game. Like, this right here is also unacceptable. Look, the mobs are too close. The linking is terrible. I have to kite. I can't stand there and fight the boar. And so really what's happening here is I'm thinking to myself, this game sucks as a solo player. And people are going to say, but MMOs aren't meant to be solo player games. Right, but a solo player has to be able to get into the game to make friends. They can make friends before they join the game. Sure, because you make friends before you go to a lot of events, right? Think about how fucking stupid that sounds if you said, yeah, you're going to go to a party. Yeah, but you don't know anybody there. And you don't have an invitation. You're just going to show up and then make friends. Well, that doesn't work. Well, neither does... If I can't solo the first 2 hours of a game, I have no chance of enjoying the game long enough to make friends. If they kite like that, AoE players will eat. And see, the problem now is, and I'm just giving it from a new player's perspective, I've now died 7 times trying to do the tutorial. I've died 7 times with a backseater who helped me understand stuff that the game didn't really explain. Imagine somebody testing this next week who doesn't have a backseater, right? And they're going to turn around and say, this game sucks. I was just thinking that jankiness comes from the swing delay. So the stand bar would give us more agency for how we approach combat. Do we use all our stamina on burst DPS or do we pace it? A stand bar is irrelevant. You're not fixing the problem. You're not fixing the problem. You're changing the color of the problem. The problem isn't the global cooldown on basic attacks. The problem is the way the combat is designed to weave left mouse button, right mouse button, secondary attack, and then switch skills, use a skill or two, and then go back to basic attacking. I'll just alt-tab, Google a guide, and follow the steps, easy peasy. That's fucking terrible. I hope you really would. I really don't hope you would do that. I hope that's not the plan. I really hope that's not the plan. I'm gonna alt-tab out and look for a guide for something that should be explained in-game. I hope not. But unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at. And the other thing, like I said, they don't thoroughly explain the limitations of magic. We are accustomed to game, like if you look at it, I have minor aid and I have paralyze, right? This is 30 focus. This is 15 focus. This is 20 focus. I've been using Touch of Light since I started the game, and I've used it twice in a fight, but now I can't use Paralyze reliably. I know why, because I understand it from outside of the game, but I think a lot of players are going to have a rough time acclimating to just getting in the door. And there's going to be fucking hardcore, elitist, snobby players that say, well, back in the day we had to figure it out. Back in the day we had to figure it out, and there were only 21 MMOs on the market, right? Back in the day we had to figure it out. There were 21 MMOs on the market, and you had to basically pick. There's over 100 MMOs on the market now. The gamer doesn't have to struggle and endure it and figure it out. The gamer will just say, refund, I'll go play something else. I mean, I do love the fact that I have no idea where the goblins are. I like that fact. But what sucks is, honestly, I'm getting the sense that I can't do anything. And that, like I talked about earlier, the psychology behind it. Like, I can't even fight this guy. Okay, I got far enough away. Players don't want to feel helpless. Because humans don't ever want to feel helpless. Helplessness is a feeling that literally you want to avoid at all costs. I'm literally sitting here thinking to myself, well, fuck, there's nothing I can do. This is all too much struggle. I can't kill the boars. I can't go into areas where there's more than one mob because I can't kite, because I kite into mobs. Mobs that shouldn't link are linking. Once you have more than one mob, you're basically fucked. The response is, well, you can't face tank the boars. You're right, I can't. That's not a question. It's not a question of if I can face tank them or not. It is I simply can't. I think that there's a lot of good ideas here, but I don't think this is going to be well received next week. And I really would think sadly is going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people that are excited for the game that basically gatekeep and shut down people with legitimate concerns. And this community isn't so large that it can support the devs. It's not like there's 7 million people like Once Human. It's not like there's 7 million people waiting for the game to come out, right? It's a very small niche community, and I'm just not sure. Earlier, it's possible some changes could be made, but I don't think this like that harvest was interrupted. I don't think this is going to go well. I'm not saying your harvest was interrupted. Interrupted how? I think that this is going to be received. I think the combat is going to get obliterated. And I don't think the solution is simple. I don't necessarily know what the solution is because I don't know what direction they're trying to go. But I've never played a game with combat like this in it. If anybody else can think of a game that had combat like this. Because normally you're not pressed, like, if I do this, I'm gonna, because this is a rat, I should be able to tank him for a couple of hits. No, not if he's got a snake next to him. Okay. So I do left mouse button and then right mouse button to secondary, which is 5. Then I hit 2 and I hit right mouse button again. Then I hit left mouse button again. I've never played a game where you're pressing a button to load a skill into the chamber and then you have to press another button to fire it, if that makes sense. I just don't see that working. Because then when you have all 9 abilities, you're going to have to be switching between all 10 buttons on the hotkey bar, but constantly going back to it doesn't look like you can shoot the moon either. So it's not like you can Q and E 0 and 1. It's not like you can put an ability on 0 and then E to it and then hit 1 and Q it the bar. Maybe that's part of the solution. Maybe that's part of the solution, that the bar isn't locked. You go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 and it comes around to 1. That might be part of the solution. I don't know. Yay, a bow. Yay, a bow that I can't use because none of my abilities can be used with it. Can I use paralyze with a bow? Oh, there's a bug. Why isn't it shooting? I don't know. Why do I have an arrow in my hand? You tell me, man. I only work here. Yeah, now I am Edward Arrowhands. That's me. Hold on one second. Alrighty. So at 4 hours and 21 minutes into the stream, and probably about 3 hours and 10 minutes into gaming, I'm definitely gonna say I understand it's a pre-alpha. I'll preface it with that. I understand it's a pre-alpha. But I didn't even know I was looking for a spirit. That's weird. You didn't give me the quest. And I understand it's a pre-alpha. There's going to be a lot of things that don't work. Like I am bowhand. As I run, I'm bowhand. But as I'm not running, and that's just shit that I've seen this particular bug in other Unreal Engine games. Yeah. So add that to the list of bugs. But I don't think combat's gonna make it, or I don't think this game is gonna make it with this combat. One of two things is gonna happen, and I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying it how it is. Either this combat is gonna get overhauled and changed, or this game isn't gonna make it much bigger than Mortal Online 2. That's really the only two conceivables I see there. Hey, it's my corpse. That's really the only two things I see. I'm not saying the combat has to be complete, but I need to understand the vision of the combat. Why is the combat this way? In a world that already has good action games, New World, in a world that already has yeah, this is very difficult to be switching between and weaving that mouse button in. That combat right there is very, very difficult. That piece of combat is very rough to get done. It's such a weird, because it's such a weird weave. I can't think of a single other game that's not a shooter where I ever use the right mouse button. And the right mouse button is usually to aim. Now this is interesting, but given how hard one of those guys were, I don't really want to see. Yeah, there's a whole lot of them. A 4G striker. Block or parry. Well, I would block if I had a shield, but I don't have a shield. Oh, block or parry. Yeah. Block or parry in an action game. Yeah, I've seen that. Block and parry for combat with the right mouse button. What the fuck is that? You brought a pig with you. And this right here is what I was trying to not do earlier. But this is literally just, the AI isn't advanced enough, right? I can just keep moving in and out of its range. And that's not good combat right there. Now, I did notice earlier that some of the mobs, if you run away from them, you try to kite the mobs, they'll throw paralyze on you. That's good. That's a good strategy. You just have to manage the stun. Yeah, but I'm gonna say I don't find that combat compelling or rewarding. You can't cheese them with kiting or getting to where they can't go. Right. Circle strafe combat is fine as long as the in-game music is a waltz. Right. I'm also going to say this. This is probably the most pointed piece of feedback I can give. I don't feel like a bone stitcher. There is nothing about... I am 5 levels into my... I'm 5 levels into my character. I don't feel any connection with my character. I supposedly am a bone stitcher. I supposedly have these cool future of necromancy abilities, and in my future is a drop of blood, Poxilus, and Harvest Corpse. But I don't feel a connection to my character. I feel like I'm a guy with a sword, which is fine. And I've said this many times. There are basic skills every human being has. There are basic skills every adventurer would have. And it's fine if you want to start people off with the basics. But Talmeyer said that Chloromancer just feels better as a starter class. Well, I don't feel like I'm a bone stitcher. Because I have no idea, like, and I know that the game's in development. I know there's a lot more to come. But that's another piece that's going to be odd. I don't feel a connection. There's not a why. There's not a why am I going to come back. After I go to dinner, am I going to come back to this? There's not a why. Why would I? Why should I? I'm not there yet. Now, when I get to 7, maybe I'll feel that way. But then, and again, as I look at this, now that remorse, now that pissed offness starts to set in as a new player, because I kept dying, I would probably be level 6 if I hadn't died. But yeah, the circle waltz combat just isn't compelling. The running around the mobs just isn't going to get it done. And I see what you're saying, that it gets more complex and varied. But the problem is you got to get it. The person has to get to where it's more complex. They have to get to where it's more varied. And just like from the Friday show to the Sunday show with Dragon's Dogma, somebody said, well, give it to level 15 and the combat will get better. Okay. Well, if the combat was bad low level, bad is subjective. But if the combat was bad low level, why am I going to get to level 15 and then suddenly think the combat is going to get good? A native goblin. Cool. I found what I was looking for. Oh, that was creepy. Don't do that. See, that linking range is too far. It's like I literally can't handle one of these guys. So now I gotta handle 2. I can't kite. I can't face tank. And so some people are gonna say, well, you should be in a party. Okay, but how do you get people to play a game if they need to have a party from minute 1? Yeah. And you can't disengage from combat because they'll follow you forever and then they'll paralyze you. That's... Yeah, I'm just gonna... If you don't get my attention less than 2 hours, I'm gonna refund it if it was on Steam. Right. And the problem here is... I'm not trying to shit on anybody's ideas. This isn't then a fantasy game. It's basically it's Chivalry 2. It's sword and board with occasionally, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got fucking wrecked because I can't kite. No, it's fine. I did get fucking wrecked. I can't kite because if I kite even a little bit, I draw another mob. I can't self-sustain because if I self-sustain using my minor aid, then I don't have the mana to use Touch of Light. Again, this is where I get people are like, well, every game doesn't need to be the same as every other game. I'm like, you're right. But if you think about EverQuest, you think about Final Fantasy 11, what do we have in those games? Pull 2 mobs, maybe 3, and then sit and eat cookies. Is there a block mechanic? There is if I have a shield. I'm going to check again. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I didn't see a shield. But if I have a shield, then I potentially don't have an offhand. Really? We got to have assholes that stand in front of the shop.
What are you looking?
Hat, hood, leggings.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm not trying to say make every game like a WoW clone, but at some point recognize the quality of life things that were put into games, and that is the expectation. Like, for example, if you go to a 5-star hotel, your expectation is that they have a pool because you're at a 5-star hotel. You expect them to have a pool. Some people would say, well, if you don't call and check, it's your own fault. You're right. It is my fault. And I admit that it's my fault. But my expectation didn't change. Like it or leave it, WoW changed the industry. So the shield on the shop counter was display only, bait and switch, right? I'm going to see if I do better with well, I don't know why we're swinging a fucking pickaxe like a baseball bat, but if players can't get into an immersive groove within 90 minutes, they're going to refund the game. I understand death has to have meaning, but literally I can't, like, that's the 8th time I've died, and I can't make meaningful forward progress because what am I going to do? Level on rats? Am I just going to kill rats for 5 hours until I'm, you know, level 7? So I have my next ability, and I hope my next ability gives me a sense of my class. I think there's a problem. Somebody might say, well, if you were in a party, it would be easier. Well, there's no party to be had right now. There's no party members. So if the game doesn't work for solo players to get started, then you have Mortal Online 2, and the game doesn't work. I can't kill the boars. That's the problem. I've died to the boars 5 times. So there's no incentive for me to try to go and kill them. See, right there, I can't handle 2 of these guys, and he's going to run and link. I acknowledge it's an MMO, and I should be in a group, but I don't have a group. So then what happens is the game isn't accessible. The barrier to entry is I have to know somebody. I have to have a friend in the game who's willing to roll a level 1 character to get me out of the starter zone. Like, I can't attack him because the link, and I can't handle 1. Don't you have friends, Jay? Not with keys, right? And remember, I always assume the role of a new player, a single player with no guild. That's how I look at it. Yeah, and I can't slapbox with this guy. Pre-alphas aren't supposed to attract anyone to game. You're helping them find bugs and give feedback. Probably mostly negative from everyone. To the point. No, the point is not. Yes, I acknowledge your point, and yes, you're correct. But let me just redirect that. Pre-alphas absolutely are attracting people to a game because pre-alphas that don't have an NDA attached to them are for marketing purposes. So a pre-alpha with no NDA on it is a marketing event meant to put eyes on the project. If a pre-alpha is only designed to find bugs and give feedback, then it'll have an NDA on it. It should have had an NDA, to be honest. No, I think that it's fine. I think it's fine if they want to put eyes on their project, because that's what small developers need. They need eyes on their project. But I wish that I knew what I don't know. I wish I knew, like, it's like, why did you design the combat this way? Yeah, if your players can't get past the starter area, you're not going to get much in the way of feedback. At least not meaningful feedback. And so I guess I need to know the philosophy of the combat. Why was the combat designed to be this way? And also, I will say I feel like I haven't. I will say I don't feel my levels have done anything for me. They probably have, The levels probably have done something for me. But I didn't get a box. Like, Dragon's Dogma 2 does a lot of things bad. But what it does really well is, when I level, I get a box that tells me exactly what my level gave me. I've said this before. If I can't cursor over something to figure out what it does, I have no idea what wisdom does. I have no idea. I'm supposed to be a bone stitcher. I'm supposed to be some kind of mage, but I have a 5 strength and a 7 stam, but a 2 wisdom and a 4 intelligence. I'm automatically going to think I've geared my character wrong because I have a 5 strength and a 7 stam, a 2 wisdom and a 4 intelligence. If we're not, and people are going to say, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're following the standard D&D template. Bullshit. Every MMORPG either follows the D&D template, or they tell you right away what the template is. Most tabletop games, strength determines damage on melee hits and how much you can carry. Most tabletop games, dexterity determines your saving throws from falling, your crit chance. You know what I'm saying? They're standards for a reason. What determines the strength? What determines how much damage you do on your fireball? Strength? The fuck kind of game is that? I don't know. Sounded like a good idea at the time. But yeah, there's definitely a whole lot of good here, but I definitely, knowing the gamers of today, I don't see them giving this a chance. It just feels wrong for a mage, right? It feels wrong for a mage. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to have those stats. Maybe I really am. But I don't feel an identity with my class. Yeah, it's not that the ball is made of fire, it's how hard it's thrown. It's the strength-based fireball. Exactly. And there's the other problem. If I use paralyze, I paralyze him, but I don't have enough mana to then... I don't have enough mana to paralyze an enemy and then have enough mana to use combat skills on him. Which means, like, literally at this point now, that's death number 9. At death number 9, a player's just gonna say, fuck this game. They're going to say, this is bullshit. I can't make any meaningful progress. So what's going to happen is they're going to log out, right? They're going to log out and they're going to go play something else for the rest of the night. Tomorrow, they're going to have relaxed. They're going to be ready to try again. They're going to come back in and they're going to try again, but they're going to get the same result. Right? And then they're going to say, fuck this game, I'm out. Because, and honestly, unless I'm missing something, there is nothing else I can do right now. There's nothing else I can do to work on my tutorial. Because remember, I'm still on the tutorial, right? I'm still on this little guy. I'm, let's say 3 hours into the game. I'm still at the starter point. And none of this means anything to me. I have all my abilities, but I'm not high enough level to use them. And do I buy the Hood of the Unmasked for an extra AC? Right? I don't know which ones I got. Those are the thread-woven pants with an AC of 3 and a 1 empathy. Then it's like, okay, let me do this. Let me buy these. And let me put these on. And then basic slippers, you know, the rock shard. What does AC and empathy do? I'm assuming AC is armor class, right? And since I know I have a high strength right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do shit like China. 156 by. So what I'm going to do here, since I know everything, it's like I'm a mage and I know everything I'm doing is hitting people, right? That's got a longer, so I'm going to go with my shorter delay. And then we're going to say, okay, I'm just going to go back to beating people with a stick. Because this is a very frustrating early game loop. And everyone will be like, well, if you remember back in the day, EverQuest was frustrating on its initial game loop, and EverQuest 2 was, and Final Fantasy 11 was, and Ultima Online was, and Ragnarok Online was. And I was like, yeah, all those games are from the same era. And guess what happened? WoW came out and didn't have a frustrating introductory game loop. And so what happened? There's a quest log, yes, but not that you can pin on the screen. The other problem is it seems like if you open any memo, if you open a menu, you stop. And that's got to change too. Oh, can you do this? Oh, but if you hit T, you can auto run and look at your quest log. But yeah, I know people don't want another WoW clone, and I'm not saying do a WoW clone, but I'm saying there's an awful lot of quality of life things. The seat belts, the airbags. I like games that have hidden effects and stats, like everything luck, you get 3% more. Yeah, but the problem is that with the internet now, we don't have hidden effects anymore because everybody farms those out. Hey, you and I have the exact same build, but I stacked the luck and I have 4% more crit than you. I guess luck gives crit. What I think would be amazing is if your character had unique things that affected your character, but not every character. Like your character gets the benefit of this, but then people would say, oh, well, that's like Star Wars Galaxies, where some people got the really easy gen for Jedi, and other people got the damn near impossible one. The third spell is my life. Are there non-combat ways to level? Yes. In the scholarship, well, there's non-combat ways to augment your character. Yeah, the third spell is minor aid. And again, another problem with this is that's my third goblin I've killed, and I've not gotten the eyeball. Somebody else could come out here and kill one thing and get the eyeball, assuming they drop off these. Okay, this is just like New World's combat then. Once you know the mob's pattern, it's literally the mob can't do anything other than its existing pattern. And then I will say then that's not interesting either. Yes, it's interesting having to figure out the mob's pattern. It sucks that it takes you 2 or 3 or 4 deaths to do. Yeah, that's no good. The mob needs a much bigger AI table, an attack table, and the mob needs to be tethered to you. Once you initiate combat, the mob needs to be tethered to you. And that way I can't do what I just did and just dance in and out. I'm literally going in and out between its attack radius and its stand there and do nothing radius. A mob should never stand there and do nothing. If it's not moving closer to you to hit you, it should be swinging to hit you. But I suck at action combat because of my hand. And as you saw, now that I know the pattern, I can just weave in and out. I can handle one. Let's see if I can do it again. Is there maybe a specific mob in the middle that drops the eye? I don't know. It just says goblins. You'll notice a fortress on a hill inside this. Oh, inside this fortress are a stack of goblins. Inside the fortress. I got 2 platinum. I'm rich. See, and now I have 2 of them. honestly, once you get the pattern down, you're good. But a mob that can't ever hit you is no good. Is there a rest button? So I'm not getting any life, and I'm not regenning. And I didn't have enough resources to make food. The guy took my 1 kebab, and kebabs take 5 meat, and I've only come up with 4 more meat. And there's no rest button. So how am I supposed to get hit points? I don't think I've ever been told how to recover hit points. I basically have done it all this time by dying. You'll notice a fortress upon a hill, and inside the fortress are a stack of goblins. Slaughtering goblins here will give you much needed experience against a weak magical foe. Kill them, cut them up, and bring me their eyes. Well, I don't know how to cut them up either. Am I supposed to be carving them up somehow? I've used the spell in the 3rd slot to heal. It's not giving me any more life. Skinning's not even an option. There's skin weaving. There's herbalism, tailoring, magic studies, woodworking, but there's not even a skinning option. So skinning's not a profession. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not gaining any life. Yeah, it worked up. It must be a server issue. I can't take on. Can you really just farm this place for plat? So, well, that one's variable. That one gave me 2. Yeah, maybe you have to kill goblins inside the fort, as in they die inside the fort. I'm gonna go back to my stick. I'm gonna beat him up with a stick. But yeah, I'm gonna try one more time because, you know, I want to see if it's the unique model. But see, the problem, and this is another thing, and I know some of you are gonna say, but death needs to have meaning. There should be no XP lost on levels underneath level 10. Under level 10, you should never lose XP because you're still just learning the game. I've died 10 times. That's probably an entire level. That literally is probably an entire level of XP. And people, I'll battle till my dying breath. I gave up on trying to farm the 5 meat for the kebab, spent an hour running around, got like 3. There you go. Folks, wasn't even here when I said it. Person wasn't even here when I said it. And I said, that's exactly what's going to happen. If you make it so punishing that it's not enjoyable, it's real simple. I'm just going to stop playing. And I'm going to go do something else with my time. Like, look at, what's this bullshit? It was a pain, really wanted to like this, but it's way too early for a playtest. No. What I'm going to say is this. It was the perfect time for a playtest. And here's why it was the perfect time for a playtest. The reason why it was a perfect time for the playtest is this combat ain't going to get it done. And if they're going to have to do a pause and a stop and a revamp on the combat, they need to do it now. Because remember, action combat game, if the combat is not chef's kiss exquisite, it's just going to get put in the category of crappy action combat game. Playtest without NDA. Well, remember, they're a small studio. And if they're looking at an early 2025 release, or even a 2025 release, this is when they need to start their marketing. With that said, if they're going to make major changes to the combat to make the combat good for an MMO, they're probably going to have to pause. Like, I really want to love this game. I really do. I really want to love this game. But there's a lot of problems so far. And I'm going to try one more time now that I didn't aggro Bambi and his 17 friends. No, see, they're all native goblins. So none of them in here register as different. Because that one with the tattoo, that model has been out. Combat is the main thing Tryon is looking for feedback on. Well, could those mud huts be the fort? Well, the mud huts over there don't have goblins in them. The mud huts over there have a different mob in them. I need goblins. There we go. Yeah, those are 4Gs over there. These are goblins. I got the eyeball. But the downside is I got the eyeball after dying 4 times. So at this point, as you can tell, I've got the 2 brains going on. The left side is saying it's an alpha, you're testing, it's for feedback. The right side is the natural frustration of a player, aka this sucks because I died 4 times. I have less XP now than I did when I started this quest. Even though I've killed a bunch of them to farm the eye, I have less XP now. That's another thing. I'm cool with XP lost on death, but not before you reach your class identity. And for me, it would seem like my class identity. Yeah, since you've joined. Especially when the quest was about helping you gain XP. Right, exactly. The other thing that has to get fixed, and again, it might be their design decision. This shouldn't be happening. I've got to be able to kite mobs. I have got to be able to disengage. Mobs have to have a leash radius. And some people are going to say mobs don't need a leash radius. If I have half hit points and I get aggroed, and they're gonna follow me forever, then all I'm like this bullshit. Like this is honestly, I'm being chased now by 4 boars and a bunch of bunnies. I need to be able to get away. Otherwise, it's basically saying you're condemned to death. And they're not gonna, it doesn't look like they're gonna stop. So people are going to hate that because you're gonna aggro too much stuff. And I'm having to run all the way to the zone line. Well, it looks like the bunnies gave up, but those pigs have crossed. They finally gave up. That is a long, that leash radius needs to get cut down by at least 2/3, right? That leash radius is, I'm just lucky that I was able to just keep running because that's punishing the character for bad game mechanics. I aggroed shit. I'm trying to run away. Now I'm getting paralyzed. Now I'm aggroing everything and its brother. Yeah, the range is way too far. How did getting the goblin eyes go? Excellent. So apparently you need quest items should not have an abysmal fucking drop rate. Also, if it's going to be plural, it needs to say that. I understand it says eyes. But for a drop rate that is as terrible as that one was, bring me 2 goblin eyes. Bring me 3 goblin eyes. Bring me 10 goblin eyes. Go and die 5 more times trying to get 1 goblin eye. Like I'm dead because can I fight 1 pig? Oh, now I have everybody. Well, we're gonna hope that we can go this way and get them to leash. That just needs to not be a thing. Honestly, that just needs to not even be a thing. I could see mobs. I can see like advanced mobs having paralyzed, but being paralyzed just because I'm trying to get away, that doesn't feel good. Like, I think one of the smartest things Steven Sharif at Intrepid Studios said was, whenever you're putting a mechanic into a game, think about the player and how does it make the player feel? Does this feel good as a player? So pigs and rabbits are rooting me. Yeah, because I'm running away from them. And then this guy's going to root me for no damn reason because I'm in his aggro range. Each mob has a stun timer. Every second you're aggro and out of reach, it gets closer to a stun. That's not a good mechanic. That's not a good mechanic. I understand what the mechanic is for, but that's not a good mechanic. Because that means you can't kite. That means, and honestly what that means is, and I don't know what higher level looks like, that means higher level I can run mobs through people. And then they're going to be screwed, because if they aggro my mobs, I can just say, oh, well, they have them now. Goodbye. Yeah, it's a terrible mechanic. That mechanic is what I call chopping off the foot because you have a splinter in your toe. But you no longer have a splinter in your toe. You also don't have a foot. I understand what it's designed for, but it's not a good solution. Hopefully, instead of chasing you forever, stunning you. Yeah, so it's a bad... The Bombardier class was able to kill the entire zone at once before, so it's a bad answer to a different problem. Right, and that's root problem solving, and what I talk to my show about all the time is... It seems like it was a solution for a problem that created more problems, which means it was a really shitty solution. Why are we doing this? We're going to give the mobs the ability to stun you. Why? Because Bombardier can kill the entire zone. Why? Because we made Bombardier too powerful. Okay, so where's the solution? By fixing Bombardier. There's the solution. We fix the problem. We don't create another problem. And maybe my problem is I'm playing Bone Stitcher, and maybe Bone Stitcher is the wrong class for my playstyle. Maybe Bone Stitcher is the wrong class for me. Maybe I'd be better at another class. In the end, all the classes are pretty similar, and in the end, everything is a hybrid. Well, we'll tackle that problem at a later date, because that sounds like a whole nother problem. Then that means why have... If every class is pretty similar, and in the end it's a hybrid, then why have 6 classes? Why not just have one class? Why not just have one class like Fracture did? Why not just have one class and a series of skills that you can learn? And you just limit the total number of skills you can learn. Oh, every class is a different. There's no pure caster or pure range. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be... I think the magic system is fine, because it seems like the magic system is supposed to be part of your bag of tricks, not your entire arsenal. Come here. Hey, eyeball. Hey, a goblin helm. 2-1. Oh, has evasion. If everyone is melee, then I guess the world bosses aren't going to be a thing. Well, there are raids. There are raids. So we'll see. This is real. This right here is what I would say the make or break point for me is going to be. If this was a finished product, obviously it's a pre-alpha, but just I'm going to see what this guy has me do next, because at this point I've died 10 times. Yeah, there's endless bosses because of the Tomb Masters. They could constantly drop shit on you. But really for me, with not the tester side of my brain, but because you always test it as a tester, but you also test it as a player, this is really going to be like, what does this old man have me doing next? Because like I said, 4 hours into the game and I don't feel like I have an identity. I literally, if you've noticed, I've tried the pitchfork, I've tried the dagger, I've tried the goblin dagger, and really the best weapon so far is to just dance back and forth with the axe handle. I'm Johnny with a stick. It's literally what I'm Johnny with a stick who has a couple of magic abilities that I don't summon from inside myself. All right, what do you got for me now? Hold on. Go fuck yourself. I have 2 goblin eyes. How many goblin eyes do you want? Okay, like I said, this was going to be the make or break point for me. As I get back, I've died 4 times to the goblins. I've died once just trying to get back to the goblins. I had a goblin eye. I came back. It wasn't enough. I have 2 goblin eyes. That's not enough. And then what's really going to happen is a player is going to say, honestly, fuck this. This is where the jahlon, I'm going to give feedback, but it's going to be blunt, it's going to be brutal, and it's going to be honest. How many fucking goblin eyes am I supposed to get? If the quest doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to do, what does that say about the future of questing? I'm supposed to guess? I've already been through a terrible quest where I needed to get 5 meat to bring him 5 meat. And then I had to turn around and do another terrible quest where I had to get 5 more meat in order to make a kebab to give to him. And now it's go kill things. Yeah, each goblin has 2 eyes. Shouldn't need to kill 20 goblins to get 2 eyes. If this is a quest building quest, then go and send me to kill 10 goblins. And I will accept that. If you want me to kill 10 goblins, I will go and kill 10 goblins. If you want me to kill 10 goblins and loot 20 eyes, then make every goblin drop 2 eyes, and I'll kill 10 goblins and bring back 20 eyes. But don't tell me to go kill goblins to bring them their eyes, right? Slaughtering goblins here will give you much experience against a weak magical foe. Kill them, cut them up, bring me their eyes, and I'll use them for a nice pie later. The only thing I can think of, and I'm gonna check this just because of my curiosity. I'm gonna check this. I can't believe I'm about to do this. I'm gonna go back to the vendor and see if there's goblin eye pie. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I will. Imagine if there is a recipe and it takes 5 eyes. You need the goblin pie recipe to know how many eyes are required. That unfortunately, because of how this was, kebab, go fuck yourself, game. I'm about to throw some shit. I hope y'all can catch. All right. I hope y'all can catch, because you're about to catch these fucking hands. Well, I don't have time to die 15 more times to get 3 more eyeballs. I'll give them credit, though. I do want to give them mad props credit, because you saw what I did there. In the back of my head, I remembered in years long past, the way this quest giver is giving his quest is the crawl, walk, run model. Go kill these, get drops, Go get the recipe. The recipe will tell you what you need to know how many drops you need. I will give them that. Very old school feel. What would have been funny if the vendor... I checked earlier. What I did earlier is I checked if the vendor sold meat. I mean, that's not terrible. Do you think the next quest is make the pie? Unfortunately, I think the next quest is going to be, yes, to make the pie. This is a really weird screen without the overlay. Can I just say, this is a really, really, really weird screen without the overlay? This is a really weird screen without the overlay. So much so. I'm gonna come, yeah, this makes me feel, oh wait, this makes me feel better. Oh my God, yeah, all of my overlays are missing. Because that game isn't optimized, so it's intensive. Can we do this? Yeah, we can do that. So, and you know what? Because that's really weird too. I'm a fucking floating head. There. What I'm gonna say is this. I'm gonna do a pointed feedback video. Because I think there is a lot of good there. I think there is a lot of good to be had. But I don't ever blow smoke up anybody's ass. I don't do that. Even if you're paying me, I don't do that. I'm actually worse if you're paying me because I go down line by line. So let me share some notes with me right now if you've got anything I need to talk about. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about combat, and I'm going to talk about the RMB, LMB issue with movement. I'm going to talk about the starter quests. I'm going to talk about the drop rate. I'm going to talk about what the fuck am I doing? What else? What else? Oh, the disengage, leash, range, class identity. I'm going to talk about the class identity. What else? Starter quest drop rate, quest rate, quest item, and then alternative to drops. Well, you want me to kill 20, just have me kill 20. Anything else? Stream is still going. Well, it's going for like 5 more minutes because I'm going to make dinner. I'm going to stream again tomorrow. I'll be back at it bright and early tomorrow to fucking farm goblin eyes, apparently. I'm just going to assume that everything's going to always be 5 now. But yeah, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to do this video after all the testing. So I will see you guys tomorrow. But before I go, I do want to just give a little Jahlon public service announcement. It's a pre-alpha. Now that I'm done testing and my player anxiety, angst, frustration dumps, at the end of the day, it's a pre-alpha. Is this game in a better state of a pre-alpha than most other games I've pre-alpha'd in the last 7 years? Yes. Tomorrow is the game. Tomorrow's the game. I'm gonna showcase the game tomorrow. I do want to ask a favor, 2 favors. Number 1, make sure you go into my YouTube, follow, subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good shit. I need to grow my YouTube again. And I thank you all for that. I thank all the people who for the last 7 months have been kicking me in the ass and saying, you need to get back to making YouTube content. I don't have a problem sharing the fact that I'm PTSD with anxiety and depression, and I fell into a depression in October after I hurt my foot. I did mention it at the beginning of the show. For those of you that have been concerned about me and all the rapid weight loss, I actually have an infection in my foot that's gone undetected. That's why I'm sick all the time. So they're gonna get that cleaned up. I'm hoping I get to keep my foot. I really am. But it's an infection on the inside in the tendon. That's why I keep being ill. That's why I keep losing all the weight. That's why I keep throwing up all the time. So I made the lifestyle change thinking it was that, and it's actually not. It's the tendon. And so the other thing I want you to do is I want you to go to the Steam page and I want you to wish list this game for them. Because even if you don't necessarily like the game, they're a studio that's trying to fix the issues we have in MMORPGs. what they're trying to do is they're trying to fix over monetization. They're trying to fix Kickstarters. They're trying to fix greed. They're trying to do those things, and they're trying to bring something new. So even if you're not going to play it, it costs you nothing to wish list it so it can get out in front of more people. With that said, PGN Music just put out this album. It's 10 little short Viking tracks meant to get you in the mood to sharpen an axe and take off your shirt, is what some guy said on the YouTube. I'm going to be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock. No, at 11 o'clock Eastern. I'll be back. So 11 o'clock Eastern to show off more of this. And if you've got any questions, PM me on Discord. I'm over in their official Discord. You can ask me anything you want. I'll see you guys tomorrow.